I'm Linus Lewis. I'm an R&D director based in London.
Hi, I'm Julian Walker. I'm an R&D director based in Bristol, and we're both part of the UKRD Leadership team.
Racism is still important in research and the NHS. People from ethnic minorities are underrepresented. They are underrepresented in participation, underrepresented in research staff, and underrepresented in leadership roles. It's really important that we keep the conversation going, but we have to do more than that. We have to move from conversation to action.
The video you're about to see is a conversation that Linus and I had with two of our other colleagues from the UKRD leadership team, Nav Aluwalia and Amit Bakai. This is from the 2020 UKRD Summit, where we talked about race, racism, and the impact that it's had. We hope that you find the video thought-provoking, moving, that it causes you to reflect on things, to think about the choices that you can make, and then to take action. We'll plunge straight in, I think, and talk about the impact of race and ethnicity on careers in health and research.
What's interesting is that when we come here from another country and try and make it, we work so hard on the clinical side and our work speaks for itself. On the research side, if you want to get right to the top of leadership, if you haven't got the right mentorship, if you haven't got the right culture, the right fit, if you don't go to dinner parties, I for one don't drink, I'm a Jain. So my culture doesn't believe in excess of things that you get addicted to. So, I don't have those cultural roots. And I wondered if that was why there was a glass ceiling.
And I have had a very different experience through going through medical school and research, and I haven't felt that glass ceiling that Amit has described. So this is almost certainly because I've acquired the skills, the rituals that haven't come naturally through my family, but I've acquired them because that's what you need to get on. But I've done it without even realising it. I haven't noticed that glass ceiling, but had I not acquired those skills, perhaps I would have noticed them more.
And I do feel like the bar has been set much higher for me than for my peers.
My two daughters decided not to go into medicine because they saw Dad working too hard. That the toll on our family says that how much harder we may have to work to be where we are. So
people from BAME communities don't rise in the same way as doctors rise. And I would therefore see that there are other glass ceilings that we've yet to fracture. So I think unless you have diversity in all professional groups, in all leadership positions, we're only going to just focus on the fact that it's BAME doctors that add that additional balance, and that's not good enough.
But I'd agree with Nav that I think, in terms of COVID, for me, it's more about the sort of social determinants of health and the inequalities, and that affects all marginalised groups. And so, but I don't want to feel cynical, and I don't want to feel there's no hope. And actually, I think this summer, it has felt very different. I think with the Black Lives Matters movement, it feels like it's not just Black people or people from the BAME community fighting the fight. It feels very much like our kind of white colleagues, our white allies are also there with us.
That sense that UKRD gives us of community is fundamentally, powerful, and it's so open to development. And we are probably really well placed to make the best of our skill sets and finding our gaps where the skill sets are that we need more people for.
The leadership group feels incredibly inclusive. And I'm not saying the wider community doesn't feel inclusive, it does, but I was just struck that it doesn't represent the kind of population that we serve.
And so it's a pleasure to have a voice to this. And it just makes me think, my God, isn't it about time that we realised that we can talk about it?
I want to be hopeful, but I think we have, and that's right, we've come a long way, but we haven't come far enough.
Three very different perspectives. We all bring something from our cultural backgrounds, our geographical backgrounds, our gender. In other words, there's diversity just between the three of us. And that's really important for people to be aware of. Everyone's got a unique experience, and you've got to tap into the individual and their own experience.
it's serious, but you don't have to be that serious. Let's have some conversations. We're not going to be judgmental. We're not. Do you know what I mean? And a level of honesty, and so it's great. So actually, for me, this has been really a good process and has left me feeling much more positive and much more hopeful. So I think what I'd want people to take away, though, is that once we kind of move beyond the headlines, how we keep the motivation, how we keep people still thinking about the struggle and how to kind of work with your Black colleagues, work on behalf of them and fight that fight and just keep the momentum and not be disheartened, because it's a long fight. It's not going to happen overnight, hasn't decades, but actually I feel quite positive. And I think the positiveness is it feels like it is much more like everybody's in it together. And I suppose it's just hoping that people keep that momentum afterwards.
Don't worry about asking questions about other people's culture. It enriches your own, it makes life fun. You get recipes from it, you get ideas about your own religion from it, if you have a faith, about how it compares with other people's religions. And genuinely you'll see that people have got a lot more in common than they have that differentiates one culture from another. I think commonality is very important. I'd like people to go away and genuinely just reflect on what happens in their own teams, in their own organisations. And if people look and feel much like they look and feel, always say to yourself, this is unlikely to represent the true talent in my team or organisation. What can I do to improve that diversity, to get better talent, better gender mix, better class mix, better ethnic mix, better religious mix? It makes things fun, enjoyable, and the outcomes are always better in the long run.
Nav, Linus, Amit, thank you very, very much. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
I hope the video had an impact on you and you saw it as a call to arms. Here in UKRD, we formed an inclusion group, and it's there to help us shape the way that we think and the actions that we can take as leaders.
We're running our first event in September 2021, so look out for details on that, and everyone's welcome to join us. We're looking for you to engage with this to help us make these changes that we need to make. We're also looking for evidence of good practice. So follow UKRD on Twitter. You can also look up further information on the UKRD Research Leaders website.